Hi, this is Kenny Wayne Shepherd, rocking the airwaves on Backbeat.
All music is the same. It's just a new set of lyrics and a new backbeat.
All right, well, AndreGraziadei here for the Backbeat Experience. Thank you, Kenny, for taking time out to have a chat today.
Thanks, glad to be here.
You grew up surrounded by music. Of course, your dad was in radio, and I think he used to do concert bookings. Mm-hmm. Okay, and was that the defining factor for your fascination with music? I would have to assume.
Yeah, well, I certainly think it was largely responsible for, my exposure to music, being surrounded by it so much as a kid. I went to basically every concert that came through town, and I heard my dad play all kinds of music on the radio, and I got to meet most of the bands that came through town. So I grew up around music and the music industry. Mm-hmm. So, I certainly think it contributed to me becoming a musician.
Right.
Yeah.
Does your dad play an instrument himself?
No.
He doesn't? Okay. So,
no.
I guess the music's just in the blood.
Yeah.
So, where were you when you first heard your music on the radio, and what did that mean to you?
Well, I was kind of a little bit spoiled in that regard because even before I had a record deal.
Okay.
When I recorded some of my first demos, my dad played some of them on his radio station.
Convenient.
Yeah, but I remember doing the first tour when the Ledbetter Heights album came out back in 1995. And going to all these radio stations all over the United States, mm-hmm. promoting the record, and they were playing the album, and we would be driving into a new state, and we'd have the radio on, and you'd hear it on the radio, and it was a huge thrill. I mean, it still is. I get excited mm-hmm. still hearing my music on the radio. I always turn it up.
When you hear a song of yours on the radio, does it take you back to when you wrote it or recorded it?
Yeah, well, it probably takes me, I guess it could take me to either. I think initially it probably takes me back to the recording of it,
mm-hmm.
because I'm listening to the recording, so it probably brings up memories. But I mean, if I wanted to take it any further, I can always go back. I can remember where I was when each song was written and what was going on. So, but it can bring up all kinds of memories for me. I mean, I've had over 21 years I signed my record deal in 93, so yeah, 21 years worth of memories doing mm-hmm. all of this,
Then, of course, music means to everybody else different memories.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure people have memories. I mean, I talked to a guy who works for the Indianapolis Colts football team, mm-hmm. and he's a big fan of mine, and he told me he remembers the exact moment that he heard Blue on Black for the first time on the radio. Mm-hmm. He remembers everything about it, what he was doing, where he was going. So it's cool that people have those kinds of memories associated with music.
So you've been in the biz now for over 21 years. You've now decided to do a tribute album. What's your criteria for picking the tracks?
Well, I mean, they're all songs by people who were influences on me musically, so these are all heroes of mine. I mean, I certainly have a longer list of influences than just the people on this record, but these are the people we chose to feature. So, I just went into their catalogs and started digging through their music and listening to a lot of songs that I haven't heard in a long time. And so through the process, it kind of brought me back to my childhood. I had all these memories of playing guitar at my house in the living room, as a kid, and experiencing blues music for the first time and learning how to play it. So anyways, that's one of the reasons why this is called Going Home, is because it's me returning back to my roots. And then as I started having all of those memories and these thoughts coming up, then I realized that the most appropriate place to record the album would be in my hometown. But as far as song selection goes, I wanted songs that I felt like, had a different groove or offered something. Each song offers something different to the album, and the lyrics, I think, are well-written lyrics. And because some blues songs can be very period correct, like they can have lyrics that are very specific to the era in which they were written. I wanted to find ones that I thought, in my opinion, still sounded relevant and
so timeless.
Could have been written yesterday. So
picking the songs, when you're choosing the songs, do you somehow have in the back of your mind who you'd like to have you play on that particular track with you? Or was that just happened to be by chance?
Well, as far as the guest artists go, that all kind of happened after the fact. So we had recorded the songs for the record, and then I started thinking, there's a song here and a song there that I thought could stand to have something new put on it. And so then I just started calling up some of my friends and asking them if they wanted to play on a song. And, a lot of them said yes. And so, yes, once they said yes, then I started looking at the music that we had and trying to find what I thought was the best match for their talent.
So it's a great track you did with Warren Haynes, and I think back of their release from last year, Shout, which they recorded the entire album and then re-recorded every track with different people. I thought that was an interesting thing, and I really enjoyed the track you did with him. Yeah. That's a really good...
Well, he is actually the reason why we recorded that song, because we had done a couple shows together a year or two ago, and we jammed at the end of the show, and he chose that song. He said, let's play Breaking Up Somebody's Home, and it sounded really great with us doing it together. So then I called him, and I said, hey, we're doing this record, and would you be okay if we recorded that song and then you played and sang on it? And he said yeah. So it's great. I mean, he's the reason why that song was on this record.
Cool. So let's see now. I'm sure a lot of people have asked you this. You're 36, right? Okay. Joe Bonamassa is about the right age. You guys sort of have similar backgrounds. His father had a music store. Your dad was in... he's more into British blues influence. You're more into Americana. I could sort of picture you guys coming together and doing kind of like a Clapton, Almond, Layla kind of guitar duel thing. I don't know. Somehow I just... Would that work?
Well, musically, I'm sure it could work, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people that have suggested a lot of different collaborations. Like a lot of people want to see me and Johnny Lang do a song together or something like that, or me and Joe or whatever. I mean, sure, all that stuff sounds great. It's just a matter of will it actually happen or not. I don't know.
So you guys recorded this album basically live to tape, old school.
Yep.
What was the thought of behind that? Because of course nobody records like that today,
Yeah, I mean some people still do, but for the most part, everybody kind of does it the new way, And there's nothing necessarily wrong with taking advantage of technology or anything. I mean, we have done it on previous records as well, but I have always, with every album that I've ever done, even when we used Pro Tools on records, we've always had 2-inch tape going at the same time, because my ear can hear a difference. There's a certain warmth and a sound that you can get from using analog tape that you can't really duplicate in the digital realm. So it's important to me. But for this album specifically, it was not negotiable. Like that's how this album was supposed to be made. So,
well, especially if we're going back with older tracks.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to maintain the spirit of the original recordings, so we wanted to record it in a similar manner that they would have originally been recorded. And so, that makes for we're all in the same room, so my amps are you can hear my amps coming through the drum microphones, and you can hear the drums coming through the vocal mics and all that stuff. But that's how things were done, a long time ago, so that's how we did it.
Closest you get to a live show. Okay, you're a guitar fan. You're a muscle car fan. Now, if you had to give up either a car or a favorite guitar, which one would it be?
Well, I've never given up either one.
I think I've heard that you've got everything.
Yeah, I have all my musical equipment from my childhood up until now. I've never sold anything. I've never gotten rid of anything, and all the cars that I've built.
But not the green stamp guitars, not those.
Not those. No, I wore those out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would probably sell one of the cars before I would sell one of the guitars, because with the guitar I can get another car. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So the guitar is what gave me the opportunity.
True, that's your bread and butter.
Pursue the passion of cars.
Yeah, I was looking at the '72 Charger that reminded me a bit of the car they use in Burn Notice.
Yeah, I mean,
is that the same year?
I'm not sure. I don't really, I don't remember the exact year model of what.
But that's that 72 Charger. That's the one that you had probably the most input on, as far as.
Well, no, not. I wouldn't say that. I've had input on all of them. The one that the '69 Charger that I built that put me on the map in the car world.
Right.
I had a lot of input on that, but there were certain like aspects of the paint job and stuff that I left up to the guy that was painting the car. And then after that, I built a 70 Duster, and I designed that entire car myself from beginning to end. And so that was the first one that was entirely my vision. And then after that, we did the 72 Charger, and then we did a 64 Dodge 330, and I've got a 70 Barracuda convertible we're getting ready to start, and a 74 Ram Charger convertible truck that we're about to do. So, but they're like children kind of, because you like... it's something that you disassemble and then you rebuild it from the ground up with a vision in mind, and you watch that vision come to reality.
How close or how far away from stock do you want to keep it?
Every car is different. Like my 64 Dodge 330 is slightly modified, but it's very old school in its approach. That's got no power steering. It's got manual brakes. It's got no air conditioning. It's like, it barely has an interior in it, So that car is like completely opposite from my other cars. Most of my other cars, we keep the vintage styling, but we add modern technology because there's lots of benefits. You can make the car drive and handle a lot better, and I have you can have a great stereo system and good air conditioning, and power steering, and brakes, and all that stuff. So you get the style, but with all the creature comforts that most people have come to expect in a car nowadays.
True. Yeah. Haven't had the opportunity of meeting and playing with all the artists you've looked up to. What situation would you say would make you nervous, or a situation that would be unnerving for you?
I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of, I've been doing this, the first time I got on stage, I was 13 years old. I think that was probably the most nervous that I've ever been.
Well, I can imagine.
So once, it was almost like I knew, there's a kind of an adult thought to have for such a young person, but I kind of knew that like this was either going to be great or it was going to be a horrible failure. But either way, it would indicate to me a path that I would choose. And I got on stage and I played for hours and got standing ovations and all these things, and I felt from that moment that I might actually be able to make something out of playing music. So that was like the most nervous. I mean, the only people that have ever person that has ever really made me nervous on stage was when I first started playing on stage with B.B. King, because I was in such awe with him. Now he's like a father to me. I've known him so long, and we've gotten to be very close. But at first, I was just like, I can't even believe I'm on stage with the king of the blues, and I used to get a little bit nervous by that. But I haven't really, I feel very comfortable on stage. I mean, I feel like that's what I was born to do. And so when I'm up there, I'm very comfortable. And so, nervous really doesn't come into the picture very much.
You took part in the Experience Hendrix tour. Monterey was the defining moment for Jimmy that got him the attention. Has that special moment for you happened yet?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we've had a tremendous amount of success over the course of my career. I mean, I've sold millions of records, worldwide. In the United States, that song Blue on Black was a bona fide hit song. I mean, it was number one on the rock charts for like I can't even remember, it was like 27 weeks or something like that. It set a record at the time for being consecutively at number one for the most amount of weeks ever in the history of the Billboard rock chart. So there's been a lot of accomplishments, I guess, in my career, but to me, I don't look at any one of them necessarily as like the defining moment of my career, because I feel like my career is still developing. I'm very grateful to be sitting here over 20 years doing what I'm doing and even still have a career, because a lot of people in other kinds of music don't get an opportunity to have a career that lasts that long.
True.
This kind of music gives you that kind of opportunity because the music is timeless, So I feel like, you never know, like whatever we have accomplished in the past I don't know what lies in the future, so maybe even bigger things lie ahead.
So I guess Blue on Black was kind of like your launching pad.
Well, no, because my first album went platinum, sold 1 million copies. The first single off of that record shot to number 5 on the rock charts.
Okay.
Like right out of the box. So that introduced me to the world, and then the second album surpassed that, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe my first album facilitated that. I just look at the whole thing as my career is just this one long progression, and I think the story is still yet to be told.
The Rides, is that a one-off project?
No. We've already written songs for another record, and at the end of the year, we're going to go in the studio and make another album.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where's that going to be recorded?
Oh, in Los Angeles, I'm sure. Probably the same studio that we did the last one in.
What would you describe as your guilty musical pleasure?
You know what? I don't have any surprises
No?
for you. Most of the time, I listen. Whatever you think I probably would be listening to is probably what I'm listening to. You know, so it's either blues or rock, or I like country music. Just about everything that I grew up listening to is what I still like.
Okay, so if I stepped on your tour bus today, what would I be hearing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, you're not gonna hear anything.
Nothing on the road.
No, I mean, not a lot. I mean, because the thing is we play music for the majority of the day.
Okay, then you just want peace and quiet.
Yeah.
How do you think you would do in an air guitar competition?
Not very well.
Really?
Yeah, no.
That's odd. There's a lot of very good guitarists I've asked that question, and I'm always surprised at their answer.
Well, I'm not very. I've never tried to pretend to play guitar before.
Okay.
So I only know how to actually play.
Do it.
So I don't know that I'd be very good at pretending to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be probably tougher for you.
I think so. I mean, I need to have the real thing, you know.
If people spent half the time they would actually trying to play an actual guitar instead of Guitar Hero, there'd be a lot more. The music business would be in way better shape.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of things that, I mean, but look, Guitar Hero is not as popular now as it was, and I agree, they're not learning how to play the instrument by playing that game, but it is getting them engaged with music, you know, which you never know what that might lead to. You know, so maybe some people who enjoyed that game actually took the time to go and pick up a guitar that maybe wouldn't have.
Hopefully.
There's you never know.
There's still hope for music out there.
You never know. Like in 10 or 15 years, there might be some famous guy playing guitar, and he'll be doing an interview with you, and you'll say, "When did you start playing guitar?" And he'll say, "When I got Guitar Hero."
Well, Kenny, thanks a lot for having a chat today.
Yeah, thanks.